Yours, with the free form of music, was love at first sight, wasn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. You know, maybe you're referring to the experience I had hearing Cecil Taylor Trio in New York when I was a young man. I was about 18 years old, and that definitely was a turning point in my life, yes.
And I'd like to propose some metaphors in order to explain better your relationship with improvised music.
Okay.
Just let me know which one fits better.
All right.
In your opinion, and why. An intense dialogue, a difficult journey, and from another point of view, is it something that can be taught and learned?
So you want responses to all three or just to one?
One, a second, and third.
Okay, the intense dialogue, was that the first one? Well, it can be intense. It's like any other form of communication. It depends on the circumstances and the atmosphere. It responds specifically to, in my case, the acoustics are a very important part of the dialogue in a certain sense with solo improvisation. It's a trialogue between me, the instrument, and the acoustics, and then if there's an audience, then they are also part of it. So yeah, it's I suppose you could call it an intense dialogue. Okay.
Difficult journey maybe sometimes?
The difficult journey is as Count Basie said, is the bus ride to the gig and the bus ride afterwards. These are the difficult journeys. The airports, the railway stations. The gig itself is not a difficult journey.
Yes, and it can be learned and taught.
My line on that is you can't teach it, but you can catch it. You can't. It's like more like a cold, or you know, once you've been infected, then you're lost. Yeah.
About the solo performance,
yes.
In particular, so important in your career, it seems also a never-ending opportunity. Are they an everyday mind game? Are they techniques, exploration, Wikipedia, maybe?
I'm not quite sure where Wikipedia fits in, but it's certainly an exploration, because the improvisation without exploration is not really an improvisation. So I'm always hoping to surprise myself. I'm usually hoping to do a good performance, which requires that I use some elements that I'm very certain of, and then use the elements of which I'm certain to act as platforms for investigating possibilities with more risk, more danger.
But you played with several musicians, even difficult to start quoting.
Yeah.
And we quoted Cecil Taylor, then, yes. For example, Derek Bailey, Anthony Braxton, John Zorn. I know it's quite difficult to say, but at least we can try.
Yeah.
With which musicians the exchange has been deeper? Maybe the ones you are sharing a longer artistic relationship.
I think so, yes, with Barry Guy, with Paul Litton, with Alexander von Schlippenbach, with Paul Lovens. I guess these are the deepest dialogues. Although with Cecil I felt very privileged to have the opportunity to play with him, and Braxton is a very special individual, and George Lewis, for example, now the great Professor George Lewis from a special, what's he called, research professor in Columbia University now. You know, I've known George for a very long time, so it's always great to play with George. And yeah, many of the Kenny Wheeler, Paul Blade, some of our friends are no longer with us. You know, it's been a great journey to work and play with these great individuals, with Steve Lacy. I could go on. You know,
yes, I know. Your career steps crossed also some crucial points of a certain Europe, that was discovering its attitude to reinvent jazz since the 60s, 70s through United Kingdom, Germany, Netherlands. Now jazz can be considered a world music.
Yes.
Where can be find now hot and creative jazz languages and artists? Almost everywhere, I can say. In your opinion, where you can find the most creative?
You know, I've never been so worried about the geography. No. I'm more interested in the individuals, and you never know. An individual can arise from anywhere. You know, who was able to predict the arrival of Sanko Namchalek coming from Tuva? But she came from Tuva and she joined the improvising community. She brought something very special from Tuva, the whole tradition of throat singing and shamanistic singing, fantastic element, you know. So you never know when the next great individual is going to arrive. Where they come from is less interesting to me than who they are as individuals.
And the voice, what an instrument.
Yeah.
In a certain point of your career, as it happened in other lives, I suppose, electronics gained a wider space. Introducing them in your musical world, what did it mean? What kind of further opportunities did they bring to you?
Well, you have to hear it to know what it brings. I mean, how can I explain what it depends on the individual, again, the particular, they all build their own instruments. So each guy, like Joel Ryan, Walter Prati, Lawrence Casserly, George Lewis, the whole spectrum of electroacoustic musicians, each one has an individual voice and individual presence. If they don't, I never hear them. I'm only attracted to the sound of individuals, you know, the Richard Barrett and Paul Obermeyer, the group they call FERT, live electronic music. It can come from any corner. Some of these people come from conservatory backgrounds. Some come from absolutely from their own home studios, or you never know where the next genius is going to come from. But I particularly like, at the moment, there's a young New York-based character called Jeremiah Zimmerman. I think people will start to recognize his talents very soon. He's a clarinet player, but also working with live electronic transformations. So yeah, it's an addition to the field now. People don't necessarily play the piano or the saxophone or the double bass, you know. They can come with an instrument that they built themselves, you know, with their computers. George Lewis was a very early pioneer in that whole development. So I've been aware of electronics in improvised music for a long time.
You quoted electroacoustics, so can you tell us just the guidelines of the electroacoustic ensemble experience?
The guidelines?
Yeah, let's say...
What do I expect from my people? Or what do I tell them?
No, the main
How
character
to listen to
the main character of the project, let's say.
The main character
gathering friends, playing with heart, for example.
The main project is to explore the limits of musical possibilities. And especially with the large version of the ensemble, then we approach almost orchestral qualities of dimensions and grandeur. In fact, Joel Ryan, the American who's based in Stein in Amsterdam, is finishing up mixing of a project we did in Japan with just a quartet, with Paul Litton and Lawrence Casserly and myself and Joel. And we played in a museum in a town in Japan called Iwaki. And the sound was enormous. The sound system was very good. And you can't hear this as a small, it's not chamber music. It's very big music. So that I like that option of scaling with electronics, with amplification and very good high quality amplification. You can scale up the music and then reveal more and more detail, because some of these electronic processes have great depth of information, buried information, and when you amplify above and diffuse into the acoustic in a careful way, then you can reveal almost orchestral kind of qualities.
You are also very interested in ethnic music, let's say.
Yes.
Which are the ones you are attracting you the most in this period?
Well, I have an ongoing and long-lasting passion for Korean traditional music, especially Sanjo and Samonori, and the percussion, and the Sinawi, and the shamanistic musics in general of traditional Korean music,
So there's no need to fear free jazz or free music, but just open our ears and something good will happen.
Bravo!
Thank you very much, Ivan.
Pleasure.
Thank you.